All right.
Alrighty. Hi everyone. So today is IQ Designer Friday. So how's everyone doing? I'm gonna just take a little second, let everybody join in here today. So if you're new here, welcome to Gloria Horn Sewing Studio. We're located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've had some interesting weather lately. So today we're on heat advisory.
Yeah, under a heat warning. It's supposed to be like in the 90s all next week.
Yeah, 90s next week after what? Thunderstorms all this past week, flash flooding. So yeah, so I hope the weather is great wherever you live. So if you are new here and you're joining on Facebook, comment the word register to make an account and you could kind of shop with us as we're teaching today. So yeah, so you guys are in for a really fun treat today. So if you don't already know me, my name's John and this is Kate. So today we're going to be doing IQ Designer and we're going to show you guys how to make a really super cute wall hanging using the Brother Print Moda fabric printer. And so here's one sample that we had did, and we're going to do Kathy and her husband today on the live here. So this is my sister and her husband. But yeah, so you can make this a really cute candle mat, a wall hanging, even a hot pad. So the only difference is just kind of the inner that you're going to put, whether insole bright or project batting, and kind of adding the little tabs to make this a wall hanging. So yeah, we're going to show you guys that today. Super, super fun. And I love using the Brother printers. Last night, if you were here with us, I used the sublimation printer. Super cool. I'll bring those samples in a little bit later. But I'm going to show you guys how to use Artspira, which is a free app to download from Brother. If you have the Print Moda fabric printer, it works with the app, and how you can print out the print onto the fabric. So I'm going to show you guys that part. And then Kate, this is going to be her first time showing IQ and walking through all the steps. So she actually designed this one, guys. So give a round of applause to her. You guys are really going to like it. And so, and also, as it's stitching out, I did promise you guys last night that I was going to show this cool little star stitch that I did in my custom stitch on the Brother machines. So Kate did an amazing job making the little guide for it. So if you want to turn your phone sideways and take a screenshot of this, this is all the steps for plotting those points for the star. This one, it goes over in a couple spots. So it has a really nice guide that Kate made with steps, 1 through 21 on how to plot those points. So, and I'll go over that a little later. All right, are you excited, Kate?
I am.
Yeah, this is a fun one today. So, all right, so if we open up the Artspira app here, so Artspira is an app free to download from Brother. There is a subscription too, so they have a premium version as well. It's $12.99 a month, or about, I think it's $117 a year. You do save with the yearly, which is really nice, and they upload a bunch of fun different projects, new paid and free embroidery designs, and with the premium you get access to all of their paid designs. You get access to everything except the Disney designs, which is really nice. So let's say we go here to the news section, and there's 3 sections in the news section. So there is embroidery, where you could upload embroidery designs, and last night I showed how to do sublimation embroidery. So cool thing. I'm going to bring those samples back in here a little later for you guys to see if you didn't tune in with us last night. But then you also have a cutting section, which works for the Brother scan and cuts. And then there's also a printing section that works for both the fabric printer and the sublimation printer. And so if we go into Design Editor here, and then you have 2 sections. So one is for sublimation, and the other one that says fabric roll is going to be for the Brother Print Moda fabric printer, which I have behind me here. So let's go ahead and go into custom size. And for this project, we're going to be a little bit specific on how we're going to lay this image into the sheet of fabric and how we're going to set it up. Just because with this heart that we have here, so just the positioning of it and making sure we size it right. We could use a few tools within the app to give us a good idea of how we want to position it, but we also want to print out the fabric big enough So it will still cover most, if not all of the heart, so that you have 2 layers here to make it a little bit more stiffer. So if we go ahead here though, and let's select the width and height. So let's keep the width the same at 11.69, but let's change the height from 36 inches down to, and sorry, it's a little hard to type with it being upside down. Let's make it 12 inches, and then we'll hit create. So that will bring up this 11.69 inch by 12 inch grid. And then we're going to select a photo, and I already printed one out too. And so we're going to do Kathy and her husband next. So this will be a nice little surprise for her. And let's go ahead and insert a image. And let's go to camera roll, and I'm just going to select it and find it. And there we go. Okay, so now that we loaded it in there, let's go ahead and do a design. And if we do basic shape, we could go to basic shape on this side, and we could pull in the heart. So these shapes, some of them are very similar to the ones in IQ. The heart is pretty similar, it's just slightly different. So if we just tap on it and hit done, it will load one in. And we're going to make the heart specifically a certain size. So in Kate and I's instructions here that she wrote up, she is on the ball here. She has these instructions done and ready to go on Facebook. So we're going to make the heart, and if we go to layout here at the bottom, we could type in the size. So let's do, we will do 5.85. And then we're going to do by 6.37. Sorry guys, it's a little hard for me to type upside down, but this way you guys can see it. And we'll hit done, and then it will size that heart for us. Oh, I'm sorry, I had to hit save. So there we go. I'll hit, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I did that in the wrong section, guys. So I was doing that up here with the up, down. So you can reset the center. I was doing that in the wrong section. So go down here to where it says height and width. So there's a lock ratio. If you unlock it, then you could type in those sizes in that section there. So I'm just going to redo that real quick. 5.85 by 6.37. And then let's hit done. And there we go. Now it made the heart bigger and sized it for how we're going to need it. So now let's put that in the center. And we're going to first, let's make Kathy and her husband a little bit bigger here. And then let's tap on the heart. We want that in the center. And then I could kind of move Kathy and her husband to get them where I want them. And I can make it a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to kind of use my fingers here, drag it in. I just want to make sure the white's not going to show in the heart area, so I kind of like where that's at. What do you think, Kate?
I think there's still a little white showing on the skin.
Oh, I see. So I could just make it slightly bigger. There we go. Do we like where that's at? Okay, so now once we did that, we have that heart kind of in the center there. So we're going to actually tap and delete the heart. We're just using that as a little guideline to make sure that we're going to have enough area to put that heart down when we tack down that stitch. That's just kind of important. You don't want to not, it's like, I don't know how else to say. It's just, you don't want to print your photo bigger than the inner heart's going to be. So we're using this as a guideline in the app before we print it. But we'll tap on that heart, and then we're going to actually delete that, because that guideline would still show with that heart. And this way we have a little bit of wiggle room when we place it, so because that guideline probably would not get covered by the candle wicking since the heart is slightly different in shape. So once we do that, we could hit done, and we could hit save. And you don't have to save it, but I am just going to put in a K for Kathy there. and then it's going to save. This way I could pull it back up. And so now we're going to send this to the printer. So you'll want to connect your printer in this section right here. So I'm connected to the one behind me, which is the Print Moda fabric printer. And then I can just press print. So I kind of like to walk my phone over, and I'll let you guys see this real quick. So it's so cool how the fabric printer works. I love it. So there's this roll of fabric, which I could even kind of pull out real quick. I kind of have the camera set up in a way, so I didn't want to bump Kate's camera for IQ out of the way, but there is this fabric roll here. So, and we've printed with a couple other different types of fabric paper, but the one that Brother makes is actually the best. So this is the cotton fabric up here, and it's coated with a special coating to really hold that ink so it doesn't rub off in the wash. It's super great. In fact, if you were at the fall event or the spring event, Cindy, who helped Tommy and I in our class, she bought one of these printers a while ago, and she did a test sample. She printed out a photo. She washed it every time she was doing a load of laundry, and the color held. I wish I had it with me to show you guys today, but it's a really great fabric printer. Other ones you have to soak in certain things. This one, you don't have to soak it in anything. You don't have to like try to dip it in vinegar with other ones you have to do. All you have to do is once you print it, you let it dry for 15 minutes in the air, and then you could go take it to the sink, rinse it off real quick with cold water, no soap or detergent, and then just let it air dry, and that's all you have to do, and it holds its color amazing. So there's also this plasticky backing on the back of it. I'm not sure if the camera could see that, but that helps feed that roll through the printer itself so that it can be printed on. And then when you load it in there, and I could take the tray out a little later and re-show, but you just kind of feed it right through, and you kind of just roll it in. And I'm not sure if the camera could kind of see the corners there, where you could kind of see it getting rolled in, but you just want to roll it in to the very end there, which I'm not sure if the camera can pick up, but I'll show that a little later once Kate finishes IQ so I don't bump her camera stand out of the way. And then we'll just put that in there. We'll pull out this top tray. Also, there is a paper tray for the printer as well. This is the one from Steve and I's office. We got rid of our old printer in there because this printer prints amazing. It's so great on ink, and you might be thinking like, what's the catch? It must fly through ink. That ink lasts so long. In fact, Tommy and I, when we did the last fall event, I think we printed over 200 people's photos before we had to change the yellow and magenta colors of ink. So those cartridges last a really long time. And so once we do that, and we'll go back to our phone real quick, I'll just press print, and it will send over to the printer. And then it will print out. Now, I already did one that took 15 minutes to dry. So I'm going to show you guys the next steps real quick, and then Kate's going to start with IQ. But it automatically cuts that fabric roll too. There's a blade in the back of the printer so that you're not printing the whole fabric roll and then you got to pull out and cut. That wastes so much. So it will automatically cut it. I let it do its little thing real quick. And then I press OK. And then I can just slide this out. And there's Kathy and her hubby on fabric. So she's going to love this one. I hope she's watching today. Alrighty. So once you do that, and this is the one that I just printed, so she'll have another little one that she could use for something. There is that clear plastic backing on the back of this. You're just going to want to peel that off. If I could show them real quick. So if you just grab the corner, and let's just peel that off, and then we could discard this. So, and then once you do that, what we like to do, especially for this project, is I like to put shape flex onto the back of this just to give this a little bit more sturdiness. It is pretty thin, so I like to make it just a little bit more thicker, crisper, and it holds up a lot nicer for a wall hanging or a little mini pillow or a memory quilt or something. So I'm going to kind of cut that in the back, and then I'm going to let Kate take over with IQ. So And I did see a question, can you use the fabric on a regular printer? You actually can't. We did try that out. It doesn't work the same, so it works specially with the Brother Print Moda. All right, so I'm going to let Kate take over, and so she's going to walk through all the steps on designing it in IQ, and then I'll be back shortly, so.
Okay. Forgive me if I make any mistakes. This is my first time really doing any of this. But I'm going to take us over to the machine, and today we're working on the Luminaire. All right. Okay, so first we're going to start off in my design center, and we will want to bring in our first shape, which is going to be the heart. This will be like the outline, the exterior border for the heart. So we're going to hit number 22. Okay. And we want to make this bigger. So we're going to go to size. I kind of felt it out when I was making it. I made it as big as I could. But I used these ones, but these are the numbers that I put in. 9.65 set, and then 10.50 set. And you want to make sure whenever you're inputting these numbers to always hit set, because if you just hit OK or go to the next one, it might not save that. And so whenever you get out of sizing, it might be the wrong size. So then we're going to hit OK. And now we're going to go to line properties. So this box right here, maybe. There we go. Just took a second. All right, so we want this to be a straight stitch. So straight stitch. Of course it would do this to me. All right, so we selected straight stitch, and now we're going to choose red. So I chose this red. We're going to hit OK, and we're going to take our line bucket to turn the line of the heart red. And we are going to save this onto our machine for later. So you'll hit memory and then save on the machine. Let's hit next. And we're just going to keep everything on here the same. We'll hit set. Okay. And this is our first step. So this is going to be the tack down for the batting that we're using. And now we're going to hit edit. And we're going to make a copy of this one. So in the edit screen, this little box, there's two squares, one's full and one's a dashed line. We're going to hit that, and that is going to copy our design. And we want to make sure that is centered. So we're going to go to the move thing. So hit move, and then this dot right here centers our design. So you'll just hit that to center it with the other heart. We'll hit OK. And now we're going to hit add. My design center, shapes, and then the same thing, 22, the heart, and this is going to be our inner heart. We'll hit OK, and we want this to be about 2 to 3 inches smaller than the outer heart, so you can do whatever size you think is best for the picture that you're using. The first time we did this, we made the heart too big, and so we ended up shrinking it, but this is just works with the picture that we're using for today. So we are going to go into size. The numbers we're using is actually the default size, 5.85 by 6.37. That's just the default size that the heart comes when you put it into IQ Designer. You are, again, welcome to change this, but these are the numbers that we used. We'll hit OK. And then we're going to go into line properties. So we are going to make this a straight stitch. So you'll hit that, and then we're going to make it green. Okay. We'll go to the line bucket and hit the line on the heart, turn that green. And we're going to save this to our machine. So memory, save on the machine, and then we're going to hit next. We'll hit set. Okay. And now we have this added to our design. So we're going to now hit add, and we're going to bring in that red heart again. So we'll hit My Design Center, the pocket with the arrow pointing out, and we're going to recall the red heart that we made before. So we'll select that, okay. And now we have this back in here, and we want to change the stitch color. So we're going to make it a straight stitch, and we'll make this one purple. So okay. All right, and then we'll hit line bucket, and we'll tap the heart to make it purple. And this is going to be the tack down for our border fabric. All right, so next. And we're not changing anything here, so we'll hit set. Okay. And then we're going to go back into IQ Designer, so we'll hit Add, My Design Center, pocket with the arrow pointing out, and we're going to bring in that green heart that we made. So we'll select that, hit OK. We're going to go into Line Properties, Straight Stitch, and we're going to make this one pink. And then hit OK. We're going to hit the line bucket again, click on the heart, turn it pink, and this is going to be the inner heart. So once we lay down our border fabric, we are going to stitch the inner heart one more time, and then we are going to trim the border fabric that's on top of the inner heart to reveal the fabric that's underneath. So we'll hit next, set, okay, and there we have that. So we're going to go back in one more time and click Add, My Design Center, and now we're going to do the candle wicking stitch for the inside of the heart. So we're going to go into the pocket with the arrow pointing out. Let's recall that green heart again. Okay. Line Properties, the candle wicking, and we'll make this one orange. We'll hit OK. Let's take that line bucket tool again and click on the heart to turn it orange. We'll hit next. And so now we're going to adjust the size of the candle wicking. So for the top one, we are going to do 0.220. So you can either hold it in or press it a few times. All right, we'll hit OK. And then for the spacing, we are going to make it 0.012. All right, we'll hit OK. Set, OK. And now we're going to select the first heart that we made. So the first big red heart that is in our embroidery screen, we're going to hit that, hit edit, copy. So those two boxes right there, we copied it, and now we're going to move it. So we want to make sure it is centered with everything else. So we'll hit the center button right in the middle there. And just to make sure, since we have so many layers that are overlapping, we're just going to hit these arrows down here, the select arrows. Just click the select arrow, hit center. Just do that a few times for each heart, just to make sure everything is lined up. And we'll hit OK. And now we are going to enter the embroidery screen. And that is everything for IQ Designer.
Wow, that was pretty easy. Kate, you explained that like way better than I could. So. Alright, so first step of
You
what you're
need
gonna
your
do-
microphone.
Oh my gosh, I am forgetting my microphone here. Let me put that back on. Everybody probably didn't hear what I said. So I was saying that Kate did a really good job at explaining that, and she also designed all those steps herself. So Kate's probably better at IQ than me because you film it every Friday. So, and Kate has a really good graphic design background. So she went to school for it. So, alrighty. But so the first steps of what we're going to do is we are going to hoop no-show stabilizer in our 10 5/8 by 16 inch hoop. So that hoop size works with the Solaris, the Luminaire, the Radiance, the Avenir. You could also take these steps and shrink those down to fit in your machine, whether you have a Destiny or a Dream machine. So you could totally make that work out. So, alrighty. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put this in. And let's use, since we're doing pink fabric, why don't we use pink thread for it? So I'll let Kate thread that real quick.
Which one? The darker one?
Whichever one you like. You get to pick this one out for Kathy, so maybe Kathy's watching today. And I'm going to show real quick how to fuse Shape Flex onto your fabric for both the outer fabric and the little picture that you printed. So I was looking for it, and I have to cut another piece real quick, so I think I have some behind me in the closet. So I'm just going to grab that real quick.
Okay, yeah.
And then I'm going to show them that. So I thought I had it out in the back there, but okay. You guys know how it is. Sometimes we're a little last minute, but here we go. So I'm going to just show you guys. So I am just going to kind of lay out my interfacing. And I'm just going to kind of lay over my fabric and just cut it about the same size, maybe a little smaller even. That way you don't like glue your wool mat or anything. So and so this is really cool too. And I think Kate explained, if I remember here from the other room, is that you could also, if you don't have like the print mode of fabric printer, you could totally just make that inner heart a different fabric and put it with a fancy fill.
Absolutely.
So, and you could even like add text to that or lettering and do that embroidery. Maybe we'll show that a little bit later on how you could kind of go back and add that. But really cute. You could even put like a date in there, like a marriage date, make a cute little like heart wall hanging gift. So.
And these are totally customizable. You don't have to do exactly what we did. We even, when we were stitching the first, like our sample one out, I accidentally, like I said earlier, made the heart too big at first. And so whenever we just used the same batting, we didn't want to start over. So we made the heart smaller and stitched that out. And it kind of made like a double border effect.
I know, that was so cool. And you could do it with different fabrics.
Yeah, so you can always just repeat certain steps and go back and add different borders to it and just customize it.
Exactly, and that's the fun thing about IQ Designer, or on the brother case, My Design Center, is that you have that total custom. I can't think of the word. I cannot speak today, guys. It's Friday, but you have that customization options to be able to do that and pick and choose what you want. And so it would have been super cool even if we did like a double heart and did 2 different colored fabrics for a border. So maybe we'll play with that in the future. Maybe that will be the next time we do IQ. I'm already thinking of something. So once you do that, so I just interfaced here. Maybe we could zoom in real quick. So this is going to be our border fabric. We're using this really beautiful Michael Miller fabric. I forget, is this one Fairy Frost?
It is.
Yeah, Fairy Frost is so pretty. So we have it in pink. We might have it in a bubble in here in a second. And so when applying interfacing or Shape Flex, we prefer Shape Flex. It's the best one in our opinion, especially for these in the hoop projects, is you'll put your fabric on the wrong side here. And with the Shape Flex, if you've never used interfacing before, there is a side that has little tiny glue dots on it. And then there's a soft side that just feels like the fabric. So you're going to place the side with the glue dots facing down on the back side of your fabric. And then what you're going to do is you're going to press. So I'm kind of smoothing over lightly. I'm not really pushing hard when I'm smoothing over, but this is to kind of tack it down. And then I'll really press onto the fabric. So I'm like actually pressing with force, and I'm doing it in small increments. So I do that little light smoothing around it to just tack it down enough, and then I'm pressing it to really fuse that glue to the fabric. So, and that makes it thicker and heavier. more sturdy, so perfect for in the hoop projects. Because sometimes if you're using the fabric by itself, I just find that it's a little flimsy, doesn't kind of turn out as nice, like as in like when you're point turning it and you're flipping the wrong side out. I just think that, you know, using the Shape Flex is really nice to give the fabric that durability that it needs. So, all right, the first step, what we're going to do here is we are going to take a piece of project batting that we cut to fit the inside of the hoop. So you kind of repeat that first step and do a placement stitch if you want of that heart, but I honestly just cut a big piece here and I'll just stitch right out over it. And so if we come over here, and we just slide this in here, and this one's Kimberbell Project batting. I really do like this one a lot. And so we'll hit start for the first step, and it's going to stitch the outside, the full outside of the heart. And so I'm just kind of smoothing with my finger real quick, making sure nothing's scrunching up like that. So it's kind of like so cool. It's like a precision sewing. It's going to sew it perfectly. I just think it's like the coolest thing doing in the hoop projects. So if you've never done one before, it's such a fun thing to do. There's tons of different in the hoop projects that we've shown. Some that are done in the 6x10 hoop. Kathy and Mary Lou do a lot of Kimberbell projects with that. And then ones like this, usually an IQ designer will use this 10 5/8 by 16 inch hoop, or the new bigger hoop with the radiance, sometimes a 9x14, right? I mean, we use a lot of different size hoops with different projects, but you know, we're sewing on the Brother Luminaire here, so there's some really cool features on it, which if you kind of were looking at making a jump to a new machine, from a bigger hoop size maybe, or we're dabbling in embroidery, I would say that the Luminaire is a great machine. You have a great workspace here. You have, I think definitely over 500 built-in designs. I think there's 20 different fonts, but I really like with the Brother machines is they work with the Artspira app, and you have access to over 100 different fonts. I think I'm going to show that a little later towards the end here. So, all right, so once you stitch out that heart, we're going to take the hoop out. We're not going to unhoop the project, but we're just going to slide the hoop out, and we're going to trim this. And so we come over here, and Kate, do you want to trim it? I can trim it.
Sure.
Yeah, Kate can trim it.
I might use the snips, though.
All right, use the snips. So we love our squeezy snips. Those are our favorite. We use them all the time here. And so we like to use that to trim batting and other things. I like the duck bells too. So I kind of use the duck bells to make enough of a trim first, and then I'll use the squeezy snips to get real close to that stitching line. And so I got that in the bubble right now. That's sold $132. And so I really love those squeezy snips, especially with in the hoop projects, getting real close to that batting. So, and that's kind of important. You don't want to leave too much batting there, because otherwise it's going to kind of mess up your project. Especially,
I find these like way easier to use than some of the other scissors. I do like the Kimberbell applique ones though. I think those were the first ones I tried. These and those ones, and I really liked both of these. I feel like they're the easiest to use whenever you're trying to trim really close.
Yeah, they're really nice. So
I might be a little slow at this. Okay. I don't think I'll ever get as fast as Kathy is.
you know, it's hard to beat Kathy, but also Kate. Kathy has been doing this a lot longer than us. So Kate and I are a little bit way more newer to sewing and IQ designer and in the hoop projects, but we're really enjoying it, and we've learned so much from Kathy, Mary Lou, Steve, and especially Gloria and Tommy. Tommy's digitizing. We're going to have to show him his project that he's working on. So if you've been keeping up and you buy Tommy's monthly box, his next one is super cool. And we're going to show that a little bit later. He brought part of the sample that he's working on for us to show you guys. And Tommy outdoes himself every single time. I can't say it enough. Like, he's like a prodigy with it. He outdoes himself on every single project. So we'll save that a little bit more towards the end of the show here. But while Kate's doing that, I'm just going to put this thread in this machine real quick. So
all right, I think I have this all trimmed pretty good. Good enough for me.
yeah, that looks really good. So that's like what you want. You don't want like a full 1/8 of an inch or like a 1/4 of an inch sticking out. You want to keep it pretty close because when we turn it, that's going to be important because you don't want this batting to really get caught in that seam allowance. It's already thick enough, and we're going to have it trimmed to about a 1/4. So yeah, so now once we do that, we're going to put this back into the machine, and we're going to lay our upper fabric. And so I just cut a piece once again here to fit that inside of the hoop fully. This is going to be our outer border. Yeah, sorry, we're not going to lay this piece first. We're actually going to do the picture first. So I'm sorry about that. I got confused for a second. So we're going to lay Kathy and her husband in there first. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to do a second stitch with the inner heart just to kind of get an idea for when we're placing it in the hoop too. So we'll do that real quick. Yeah. Okay, so we repeated it twice. So we added a placement stitch because Kate and I were looking at each other here. So if you don't want to waste batting, usually I just do that first placement stitch with the batting. But if you don't have a real big piece or you want to save on like not using a full piece of batting like that for the hoop, you could actually do a placement stitch first, and then you could kind of shift your batting to get closer to it so you're not wasting as much. So we repeated that in the steps, and we forgot that we did that because we were kind of doing this one right before we came on to live here. So I don't want to say ours is last minute. We had at least a full 2 hours to design it. So, but we had the idea from last night. So it's fun.
All right. All right, and now it'll stitch the inner circle, or the inner heart.
Yeah, so now it's gonna stitch the inner heart, and then we're gonna go back a step actually. So I'm gonna let it stitch the inner heart first. And the reason I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna kind of use that and peek underneath here to make sure that I position Kathy and her husband right, because I wouldn't want to position her wrong and it only be a picture of Kathy, you know, and not her husband, because there is that border with the fabric.
And I'll clarify everything in the directions when I rewrite them, and I will add in a second inner heart in IQ Designer.
Now, I do want to put this. So how we had that second stitch, now if you were doing just the fabric on the inner part without the heart, you could tack that inner fabric down first with that previous stitch, which you could also do with this. But the reason I'm kind of skipping forward to make sure that I do this heart stitch first to position Kathy and her husband right, that's super important. And so we're actually gonna go back here, and we're gonna go back that one step actually. So we'll just hit the up button and we're gonna repeat it, but now we have that there as our guideline. And I'm gonna peek underneath here and just make sure I kind of position them right where I want them. So I'm just peeking underneath. Kathy's gonna be so excited when she sees this. So she's gonna have to show it on Wednesday. I think that looks pretty good. I could bump them over a little bit. And you know what? Here's the great part. I think we have that seam ripper too. So let's say you accidentally misplace it. you could use that nice seam ripper and easily take those stitches out and reposition it. So we'll just give this a little test real quick. I think I'm within, I'm actually not. I looked, I got to bump them down just a little bit. So, but it's important that we're kind of showing you guys this so you can see how to troubleshoot that in case if you were to have that issue. So let me hit that thread trimmer button real quick.
Sharon Bailey said that we could even use the camera to check.
You could use the camera, that is true. I'm gonna just try to reposition this down just a little bit, just because I know Kate and I are running a little late on the show today, so I just want to make sure we have enough time for everybody. There we go. Okay. Now I can just brush those stitches out of there real quick. And there we go. Now that should fully fill the heart.
I'm worried about this side still being... I think it still needs moved over a little bit.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So I kind of have the camera in the way, and I don't want my head to be in front of the camera, so I'm looking at a little bit of an angle, everybody. So sorry about that.
We should maybe use the camera.
All right, there we go. And I probably could have sized the photo maybe just a little bit bigger too now that I'm looking at it. So, because like I'm right on the upper edge. So I probably should have just made it a little bit bigger on the heart. So that is my fault, because you know what? Actually, this is the one I did beforehand. So I will say that real quick. I printed out this one beforehand so that it had enough time to dry, and I don't think I sized it right. I did it closely. So I don't think I might have had the heart off a little bit. But Kathy will be happy with it. So, because the other one was still drying. So we're just going to go along with it so you guys could follow along. So once you do that, it's now going to do another outside tack down stitch. So we're going to take this fabric here, our outer fabric that we placed the shape flex on for our outer border of the heart here. And we'll place that over and we're going to stitch. So yeah, that's my fault. I was like, why is it off? Because I was like, I know I sized it right, but I might not have had the heart right the first time. So. But right now, we're going to stitch this down, and then we're going to trim this. Or actually, we don't have to trim this. We're going to stitch that inner heart again with that line, and then we'll trim out that. So I'm getting a little mixed up with the steps today. Sorry, guys. It's been quite a long and busy week here, but it's been a very exciting week. So, I mean, Tommy and I were super excited. So we're heading out next Thursday. So we're heading out to Bernina training. And we're going to learn all about their machines. So we did recently start carrying Bernina. And Steve and Gloria have been the only two that have gone out to training so far. So they kind of know the most out of all of us. I'm not as familiar with the Berninas yet, but I'm super excited to learn them. I love how there's like different features on different machines. So the Berninas are definitely a lot different from the brother and baby locks, but I think definitely in a good way. I really like what they have to offer. Okay, and so now it's going to stitch the inner heart. So we'll press start. So it's redoing that inner stitch again. And then we're going to trim out this center piece of fabric here to reveal the picture. And then we're going to make sure that we trim really close to that stitching line, definitely using our squeezy snips. That way, when we do the candle wicking step next, that there's not like a 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch, because otherwise it will show that fabric fraying. So, which you definitely don't want with a really pretty wall hanging like this. And while they're doing that, I'm going to show them real quick how to cut the ribbon. So, okay. So I just have a quick little piece of ribbon right here, and we are going to cut this to 2.5 inches. So I'm going to just make sure that it's nice and trim. So we're going to cut 2 pieces of ribbon at 2.5 inches. And that's if you're making this into a wall hanging. So we're going to place those at the top of the hearts, just like I did here. Coming up in one of these next steps after the candle wicking, I'm going to show you guys how you can kind of jump steps a little bit to tack those down first before we tack down our backing fabric. And we're just doing this envelope style, and then you could close this and fuse it with steam-a-seam or hand stitch it. I prefer steam-a-seam. I just forgot to grab it for you guys today. So, but we'll take that piece of ribbon and we're going to fold that in half, and then we're just going to give it a quick iron so that it stays nice and tight like that. Now you could also hand stitch it if you're worried about it not lining up. Just do a couple little hand stitches at the bottom. I'm just going to press it real quick like that and do both pieces, and then when we get to that part, I'll make sure to show you guys that. So, and I am using our little mini Panasonic iron. We love these. They're great. So they're definitely great for in the hoop projects with the bigger hoops. And I'm not sure if we have in the lineup the other little mini iron. So we could bring that in because I really like that little mini iron too, especially for in the hoop projects with smaller hoops like a 5x7. So I think Kate's putting that in the lineup now. But once that stitches out, we're now going to cut out the inner part of this heart. So the way that I like to do this is I'll actually take my squeezy snips and I kind of just try to poke into it a little bit, but being a little bit careful to cut out a little snip. And then don't forget, we also put shape flex on the back of this. So if we start cutting and we start seeing just a white, that means we still got to cut out that shape flex too. Yep, so now the photo is going to be revealed. So I'm just going to trim this real quick.
It's so exciting.
I know, it's like the big reveal. So maybe I should trim it the other way to reveal Kathy and her husband. So Kathy told me they have a fun weekend planned with the grandkids. So I hope everybody has something fun planned from wherever you're at. I hope everybody's going to have great weather this weekend. So,
Do you have any fun plans this weekend, John?
I actually don't this weekend. So nothing fun planned yet. Keyword yet. So and I will say an important part with the photo is testing with that heart. I know the heart's a little bit different, so maybe even give yourself just a little extra space. So make sure that you just choose a good photo that's going to work before you print it out. That way, so you don't waste any of the fabric. But if you do print one out and it's too big, you could still turn it into another project with like a fabric photo pillow or use it in a quilt. So
Oh, it looks so cool.
I know. Look how cute this is.
Adorable.
Kathy's saying stop the cuteness. So there we go. So I could have just made it or even stretched out that photo a little bit to cover that white. This was the one I printed beforehand, so not the one that I printed at the beginning of the show. So I think I just sized it a little bit wrong. But there we go. So once we do that and we trim out that center piece, we're now going to do the candle wicking stitch. So we'll slide this back into the hoop here, or back into the machine.
Are we still using that same pink, or did you want to change the thread?
You know what? That's up to you, Kate. Kate designed this one. She gets full creative freedom on this
God.
one.
I don't know. What do you think would look better? The pink? We have white.
whatever
Or
you
the
like, whatever you
silver.
think Kathy's gonna like.
Oh, I don't know.
You can make it match the color of the ribbon.
It's a good idea. Do we have that or no?
I think we do. That's a pretty close match.
Okay.
All right. You guys see how we do. Or add rhinestones. You're right. We should add rhinestones. You know what? That's a great idea. I've been wanting to do the IQ with the rhinestones. I have to work with Tommy on that one and design something, but we're going to design something cool. I have a really good idea with the pearl starter kit. So, especially with one of those fancy fills in there, that would be super cool.
So
we gotta design something with that. So
I feel like
Fran, add a little bow or something at the very end to cover it. You're right. You know what? Let's do that. I have some more ribbon right here, and I'll cut it. And we'll just cut a little bow, and I'll just kind of put a couple stitches in it, hand stitches, or just stitch it real quick. So that's a great idea. I love that. Kathy doesn't have to know. She doesn't have to know. So, once we do that,
it should be good for the candle looking.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Oh, did you hit the needle threader button?
Nope, I did not.
All right.
See, I'm still a big.
Kate's still a little bit more new to sewing, but she's catching on really quickly, guys. So give her a round of applause.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Can I just like pull it out and then redo it?
Here, let's do this real quick. So if we just pull right here, and then
okay, that's
thread
what I was
trim
thinking. Yeah, that's the part I forgot.
There we go.
Okay.
So, and I love that one touch needle threader on the Luminaire. I can't get over that. The needle threaders on the Brother and Baby Lock, I think, beat every other brand out there. It's so easy. So once you do that, it's gonna stitch. And then I'm just tying a little bow right here. I haven't tied one. Hot glue, who hand sews? Well, Fran, I will say I do sometimes hand sew. Not a lot, but just for like a couple basting stitches or something by hand. But every now and then, but you're right. I think I'm just gonna hot glue this. Kate might be able to tie a better bow than me.
I don't know about that one.
You know who I would say is good at tying them? Kathy.
Kathy.
But this is going to be a little gift for her. So if she isn't watching, this is going to be a little surprise. And Kathy, if you are watching, don't watch anymore right now. She doesn't need to know there's a little white part at the bottom of hers.
Oh, that's so pretty.
And so we could even cut those on an angle there. Just make it look really cute. Yeah, you could even add a little bow to that one. So maybe I'll cut that a little shorter. Look how cute that is. Yeah, just hot glue it right there. Little bow. I'm not the best at tying them, so... You know what? You could even add a couple little buttons along the edge of it. That would be cute. Mm-hmm. You know what? That would be really cute. You'd have to kind of sew that before you close off the back of it, but I like that. So, should I show them how to do the My Custom Stitch on the Brother?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I was stitching out in a gold metallic thread this time, so it was working for me on the other one. I just gotta put a bobbin in here real quick. Okay, so the machine I'm sewing on right here is the Brother 3700D. And this one is almost the exact same as the Brother 3550, which I've shown a lot over the past 2 weeks. Really the big difference is just that you have a bigger screen on this one, which definitely helps a little bit if you're doing the My Custom Stitch feature. And it also has built-in Disney designs as well. So if you are a Disney fan, there's built-in ones on this. But also it does work with the Artspira app, which I talked about a lot the past week, but I have to show this one more time. So there's that photo that I printed of Kathy and her husband. I'm just gonna cancel out of that. And if we go into embroidery, and I really love showing this. So the Artspira app only works with Brother machines. But let's say if we go to design editor and let's type in Kathy. So if we go to text and type in Kathy and we tap on it. Now in the machine itself, there is, I think, 13 different fonts. But on the Artspira app, which you can wirelessly transfer over this design, let's tap on Kathy real quick and then hit font, and then tap up here on font. And let's look at all of these different fonts that you have. And I just keep scrolling and they keep coming. I don't think I've ever went all the way down to Z, but there's so many different fonts in here. It's just amazing. So yeah, with the Artspira app, I really, really like it having access to all of these different fonts that you could just wirelessly transfer over. I kind of like this Vermont one. Let's see what that looks like. Oh my gosh, look at that. Imagine that stitched out in this gold metallic thread, maybe even on the border of that. So, and with the Luminaire, you would be able to transfer that over. So, and kind of add that in. I really like that font there. So, and you could do all the same editing here in the Artspira app that you can do on the machines as well. So actually, I did see even a little bit more. They have a spiral option as well. So on the machines with all of them, you do have that arch function that you could arch it. But here you have a spiral. So if I was typing out something really long, I could spiral it, which is really cool. So, but yeah, I really like the Artspira app. You also have those layout keys to edit designs. So, and it only works with the Brother machines. The 3700D and the 3550 and the Luminaire that we're sewing on all work with the Artspira app. You can easily connect it to your machine as long as you connect it to Wi-Fi and you can link your Artspira account to your Brother machine. So, I really, really love the Artspira app, and there's just so many cool features in it that I really haven't even touched upon yet. So, and they upload new projects, new designs, new cutting designs for the scanning cut, new printing designs, even for the print moda. I haven't told Tiffany this yet, but there's a bag printing pattern. It's a makeup bag. I think she would love to do it. So we'll have to tell Tiffany about that. But that's enough with the Artspira app there. So we have that My Custom Stitch feature that's also exclusive to the Brother machines. And so I'm going to show you guys how to design this little star stitch. I talked about it last night. This one takes a little bit more longer to point. So we have all the points here plotted. And so if we go into the My Custom Stitch feature on the Brother machines and we tap the little pencil icon, we can then go up and down to those points here. So you have those little arrows up here, and you can also make this horizontal, which might be a little bit easier. It doesn't change those, but let's go ahead and type in these points. So we'll go up to 10, and we'll be over at 0, and we're going to plot that point twice for steps 1 and 2, and then we'll go to 6, 7. So we'll go down to 6, or down to 7, and over 6, and plot a point. And then we're going to go over 11, and then down to 4, and plot another point. And then we'll go over to 19, and then all the way down to 0 to plot another point. And then we'll go back to 15, and we'll go up to 7 and plot that point. And then let's go over 13 and up to 10 and plot that point. And then let's do over 11 and then up to 14 to plot that point. And then let's do over 8 and then down to 10 to plot this point. And then let's do over 6 down to 7 and plot that point. And then let's go ahead and do over 3 down to 0 and plot this point. And then we'll go over to 11 and then up 4 and plot that point. And so when I saw this stitch, I said, oh my gosh, that would go perfect with that Americana Lori Holt collection and the design. So you could stitch this out in a couple different rows as a border. I think that would be super cool. And so now we're going to do 15 over and then up 7. And I just think this is such a cool feature. This is only on the Brother machines. No other brand has this. I did see somebody comment a week ago and I looked into it. They said, oh, well, my Altair could do this. The Baby Locks actually don't have this feature. You could stitch edit and kind of off point them, but you can't design a stitch from the ground up, which I just think this feature is so cool. I hope they expand on it. It's been a feature they've had for a while, but I haven't really seen anybody else show it. So now we're going to go to over 21 and up to 10. And then let's go over to 13. And then we'll go over to 8. So we're staying at that 10 in the height. And then we're going to go all the way to 0 real quick. And then we're going to go back to those points. So to 8, 10, 13, 10, 20, 10. And then we're going to go all the way over to 26, 10. And that's to give it a little bit of spacing between the stars when it starts. So if we hit set, and now if we hit test, and we could also save this stitch to the machine. So if we save it to the machine, we could pull it back up for later use. I really like that feature, but let's hit test, and that will automatically repeat. So I'll thread the machine real quick. And let's see how this looks with this metallic gold. I think I'm using the champagne metallic gold, which is such a pretty color. So let's hit start. So I just think that's such a fun feature, and you could really use those decorative stitches for a lot of different uses. You could use it as decorative hems. You could do multiple rows like this and use that as a quilt block, or even add it to clothing. I just think it's such a cool feature, and I just noticed like we don't use decorative stitches as much as I wish we would. So, you know, it's really cool to be able to do this. But you could also make more of a utility one too. Here's a blanket stitch that I designed a couple shows ago, and it's just an extra wide where it goes over twice. The one in the machine will only go over once. So if you want to make a really cool blanket stitch that way, I really love that as well. So, and so many other ones that I've shown. So maybe whenever Kate and I do IQ, I'll show you guys how to design a new stitch. And we will upload this to the Facebook group here so that you guys could also reference this for later times. So, and there we could see it stitched out. So super, super cool. And look how pretty that is with that metallic thread. And all these other ones are ones that I designed in my custom stitch too, being these three. So I repeated the star one. But if you haven't, definitely look back at like kind of the past week's live streams, and I've shown a different stitch each time. So really cool. And amazing. I do want to talk briefly. So I'm sewing on the 3700D. And so we actually have just a handful of these left from our fall event. So it is a sewing and embroidery combo machine, and it has that 6x10 hoop size, which is great, especially if you're getting into embroidery. And it also works with that Artspira app, and it has the My Custom Stitch feature on the Brothers. It's a great travel machine. So definitely give us a call, Steve or myself, at 412-344-2330. We have a couple event machines that I can't advertise the price, but it's really, really great price. They were just used briefly for a couple days at our spring event, and I only have a couple left. Definitely do not wait. give us a call now, because pretty soon, once the event machines are gone, they're going to go back to the regular price. So definitely take advantage of that now. Alrighty, but back with IQ Designer. So our candle wicking stitch stitched out, and now we're on to the last step. So I'm going to show you them real quick, this last step over here before we stitch it out. And yeah, we'll just...
Oh my gosh.
Fran, that was such a great idea. She saved us here. Kathy's going to be like, oh my gosh, look how cute. So, all right. So the final step here before we take it out of the hoop is we are going to lay our backing fabrics here. So what I did was I just took a piece of fabric and I just folded it in half so it's 2 layers, and I gave it a nice press so it's crisp. And we're doing kind of this envelope style back. So we're going to place 2 pieces like this, and I just figured doing it horizontally was the best way in my opinion, because that way doing it vertically I don't think will look as good, because you kind of have that center seam. So doing it this way with the heart is the best option. And so we're going to lay the top piece down first, and then we're going to lay this piece up. But before I do that, because I almost forgot, we're going to tack down the ribbons. So you can do this 2 different ways. I'm going to actually do it with stitching it so that you guys could see how you can kind of jump forward. You could also use probably Kimberbell paper tape, which I do have to the side of me, and that would just peel off. Either way could work. I'm trying to think. You know, maybe doing the paper tape doesn't complicate it as much. What do you think?
I think paper tape is fine. But also I feel like that, like showing how you did it earlier.
So I'm going to show it both ways real quick. So if I was using paper tape, I would honestly just do a piece big enough that it just covers that full piece of ribbon right there, like so. And I'm just kind of leaving about 1/4 of an inch of that ribbon in that stitching line on the outer side of the heart. That way I have enough that I can trim it. So now in the machine, I'm going to show them how I kind of jumped forward. So if we slide this hoop back in real quick, and we'll switch back to the pink thread now that we finished our candle wicking, just so that that seam is all the same color.
Sharon said Kathy will say, shut up.
Shut up. Stop the cuteness. That's exactly what she's going to say. So the way that I did it before on the first one was I honestly just placed in this kind of towards the center top of that heart, and I just kind of finger pressed it there. And then when you hold down, it will stitch. And I forgot to hit the needle threader button. So that makes 2 of us today, Kate. So Kate's not alone. There we go. So if you hold down on that green button, it will stitch slowly. So you could kind of tack it down that way. But then you have to have it go all the way back over. And then you also have to skip stitches. So if we hit this little plus minus over here, you can skip, and I just did increments of 100 until I got towards the part where that ribbon's at. And then I just slowly stitch down. But if you do the paper tape, you kind of don't have to even worry about it, because it will just kind of do it in that full step. I might like the paper tape way better. So you kind of tack it down like that. Now, we'll also go back to that plus minus button, and I will just completely go back to the beginning of that step there so that you can now do that backing. So I'm just going to, real quick, trim those stitches. And I'm going to just paper tape the other one since I missed a couple stitches and I didn't want to go all the way back there. Kind of want to see how the paper tape method works. I might like the paper tape method a little bit better. That way I'm not kind of holding it as close here. So we're going to try this out. Because the paper tape will just peel right off. So now we're going to lay down that top piece of fabric first real quick. And we're just going to make sure we're fully covering that first half of the heart there. And then we'll take our bottom half, and I'll kind of adjust this so it's a little bit more halfway on the heart. And I kind of lay this and let it overlap. You could let it overlap about 1 inch if you want, or 3/4. I would say as long as it's at the very least 1/2 inch. And we're going to repeat how we did holding that button when we get close to the edge, because if we don't, it's going to suck in, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll take a quick pause when we get close to that side there. And so I kind of really just press down real quick and wait for it to fully get over and under that. Otherwise, we would crash. We could pause, kind of readjust, make sure everything's straight, and then let it stitch out all the way getting close to over here.
Sharon said you can use paper tape there as well.
You can use paper tape there as well. That is very true. Talking about all this paper tape, and then here I am forgetting to use it for that part. So you can use paper tape for that part as well. I'm just very used to just kind of pressing it with my finger and holding it there. So, and now we're going to let that stitch.
Cheryl's asking, does Brother offer something like Baby Lot's Love of Sewing for their machines?
Cheryl, let me get back to you on it. I don't believe Brother does. So they're a little bit different with their machines and their education. Most of their education, I would say, is really in that Artspira app. They teach you a lot in that Artspira app, which is why I do like that premium feature. But let me kind of get back to you on that, because they might offer something that I'm not familiar with. So I haven't seen anything that they do offer education-wise, but I could check. I know they sometimes will do master classes with people like Angela Wolf, but that's usually if you like buy one of their machines. So, alrighty. So, there we go. There's our heart. And now we only got a couple steps left to flip it inside out. So, let's unhoop that real quick and slide that out. I'm just going to put that hoop right back there. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm very happy about that, because I'm like, adorable. And it matches with the hanging ribbon, so like Kathy will never know. So, all right, we're going to kind of trim around the excess of this real quick to make this a little bit easier on ourselves, because we're going to use pinking shears. And if you don't have pinking shears, I'd definitely recommend getting a pair. I think we have those in the lineup here, but I'm just kind of cutting the excess off real quick. Now you could just cut close to 1/4 inch as well and do a couple little snips in there. I like to use the pinking shears. It just makes those little triangles. It makes it way, way, way easier to turn inside out. But first I'm just kind of cutting around this to cut all that excess out. There we go. Okay. And then I could just toss this out. So, perfect. So I have a pair of pinking shears right here. Does the Brother Dream Machine have this? So I actually finally found out today. I had a couple people ask me if the Dream Machine works with Artspira, and it actually doesn't. If it is a Stellaire, it does, but if it's like the Dream Machine, the equivalent to the Destiny, it unfortunately doesn't, because it didn't have Wi-Fi capability. So And so we're just going to cut close and line up that pinking to that stitching to that seam. So kind of about 1/4 of an inch away. And when we get to those curves, we're going to really take our time there. So but yeah, this is such a fun, cute project. You know what? This could even be, I don't want to say like a last minute project, but I wouldn't say do it last minute right before the wedding, but this is a cute wedding gift that you could give somebody as well. So, or even like a birthday gift for friends, you know, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. You could even do it with your pet in it. That would be super cute.
I can totally see this working with, if we made a smaller version, doing like mini Christmas ornaments for your tree.
Oh my gosh, stop. We're going to have to do that. Wait, we're going to have to do that. We'll have to make mini versions and show different ones. Because you can frame in Artspira too, I think. So, and you could sublimate Christmas ornaments as well.
That's really
That
cool.
will be a fun... That will be a fun IQ day for us. So we'll have to do that before Christmas here. Tommy might have to join us on that one. And I have to show them the sublimation samples. Can you grab them real quick? I think they're on my desk. So if you weren't here with us last night, I showed on the Artspira app, they added this new feature for sublimation to embroidery, which we've done before they added it in the app. And Tommy did a dog where he just went in IQ Designer and just did a big fill stitch. However, on the Artspira app, it's next level. So you can actually frame and do an outline of sublimation. So here's the one that Tommy did before of this dog, and see how he just did a fill stitch, and then he had to go in and try to size that image close to the fill stitch, which you have to do in like a third-party software if you were doing it that way before the Artspira app. And you would have to go into Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, which Kate's really good at, Tommy's really good at, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not the best with Photoshop or Illustrator, and it's a little bit more complicated than editing a photo on your phone that I'm good at. So, but with the Artspira app, you can actually do just the outline fill. So last night on the live, we did Baby Mary, and it also does these few basting stitches, which come out really easy. So when you trim out the sublimation sheet, and it sizes it perfectly. So we'll send over to the SP1, which is not the printer I have here. I have the fabric printer, the Print Moda, but the SP1 is their sublimation printer from Brother. So we'll size that image perfectly, and it'll do those basting stitches so you could line it up and heat press it. And look at this. Look how cool this is. Could you imagine changing all these colors just for a little fill stitch like this? That would take forever. And look at the gradient with this heart. You have the full color spectrum. I couldn't imagine doing what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different colors just for that. So it's such a cool way to do embroidery. And this was the first one I did that I tested. I did it wrong. I didn't press it long enough. And I also didn't trim out the full gray outline, so that will transfer over with that ink. But you could also do your dog, and just look how cute that is. That's like embroidery to the next level. What do you think?
It's beautiful. There's so many like possibilities.
Yeah, I like can't get over that. I think it's like the coolest thing ever. So we're definitely going to do some really fun stuff with this coming up here and show it how to use in a couple different projects we're planning. So once you pink the heart, we're also going to trim into that center of the heart. And we want to try to trim closer. So I'm just using my duck bells there, and I'm going to just let Kate zoom in a little bit. So see how I'm trimming this? And that's to reduce the bulk whenever we're turning this right side out. And I want to just trim very close to that stitching line. And then also with the bottom of the heart, that point, I'm going to just trim very close as well. and also just trim a little bit on an angle there. And now we could turn it inside out. And I also like to give this kind of a press at this point too with the iron before I turn it inside out. And we'll use our turning tool, if I can find it. No, I just remembered I didn't have a turning tool before, so
Use the stiletto.
we'll use the stiletto a little bit too.
Here, I'll go find one. I do have an unopened one.
We'll use that one because I don't know what happened to our other one. So we're just turning this inside out, and I'm also going to just kind of use my fingers, pull it out a little bit. The heart is a harder shape to turn, so that's why I really do like that turning tool and that stiletto.
Yeah, I can find one.
Okay.
Do you want me to open this one?
Yeah, if we open that one, that's fine. We need an extra one. All right. I kind of like the paper tape method because that held that down in place, and I could just kind of peel and tear that paper tape off like that. I think I like the paper tape method. Yeah, that paper tape comes in handy. Do we have that? Can we put that in the lineup? We'll add paper tape into the lineup. Kate's going to add it here shortly. So, because that was just way too easy compared to trying to hold it down, I think. So, okay, I'm kind of just pressing this, and now that I have a turning tool, our handy dandy turning tools, I love these ones because they have this little ball point on it, so it works perfect for in the hoop projects, especially like this, and you can really just get there, go along those curves and smooth those out. I love these, so and I'm really just smoothing out here. It takes a little bit more time to do the heart compared to like the oval hot pad. I think that was the last IQ we did, right? Was the oval hot pad, or no, it was the lemon pillow behind us actually. Or well, I did the clamshell with picture stitch. So that one was a while ago. But we'll show that lemon pillow because I don't think they saw that one, did they?
Maybe briefly.
I know on the live I did just a shorter version of Picture Stitch, which is a new feature on the brand new Radiance and Avenir, where you could take any JPEG image you have and turn it into an embroidery file that does it very realistically. So I turned down the colors a lot on the clamshell, but with this one here, I kind of kept it the same, and look at that. So we used the Lavender Lemonade collection. We did a really cool pillow with the Echo quilting.
We did.
So I like that a lot. And so I also did this on this one here. So see how there's a couple stitches at the top of the heart that cause it to pucker a little bit? I actually take my snips and I just kind of snipped those. It's like 1 or 2 stitches that hold it together a little bit. So once you snip that one, you could kind of turn it a little bit easier.
Wow.
There we go. And we'll give it a nice, nice press.
Now, how are we attaching that bow?
So what we could do, if we could hand stitch it with a hand needle, or I might just use Kathy and Mary Lou's glue gun real quick. They'll never know. And I'll just put it on there.
That's a great idea.
Because I don't know if I'm going to find any hand sewing needles right now. And you could do it with invisible thread if you were going to hand stitch it, and that way it's like really, really, you're not going to see it. Now I do want to talk real quick too. Like you could also make this a really cute candle mat or a little, I don't want to say placemat since it's smaller, but or even like a little mini heart-shaped pillow. I think that's super cute. So you kind of turn this into a wall hanging just by adding those little loops right there, and then you could put that on a hanger, which I think is super cute. Oh my gosh, that was such a good idea with the bow. Thank you so much, Fring. Kind of saved me there.
I did not find it.
The
glue gun.
Oh, the glue gun. Okay, well, we'll just kind of show everybody like this, and we'll glue this off later. So give it a nice press, I got to get the glitter off of it, so I'll find a lint roller here. So the fairy frost does have glitter on it. And from turning it so much, I think it came off a little bit. But I did Kathy and her hubby. I also did my sister and her husband, my brother-in-law. So just, I think this is such a cute wedding gift, or like just a gift in general. So I would use a snap on the back. Troy, you know what? That's not a bad idea. You know what? We would close this off normally with just steam-a-seam, or you could hand stitch it. I like to use steam-a-seam. It just makes it much, much easier. So, you know, and you could also go in and kind of add a couple steps. You could make this fancy filled around here as well. We just kind of kept it a little bit more simple for today. So it's definitely an easy beginner project. And I think this is the first time we finally got to use the Print Moda with IQ Designer. So it is such a fun way you can incorporate both of those.
I agree. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun too. So I think I have a couple things we're going to show you guys real quick product-wise. So, and what's the percent back today?
It is still 10%.
It's still 10%. Oh my gosh, guys, take advantage of that. So Kathy and I are always saying, like, you know what? It's always 10%. Sometimes it's going to change, but it might actually change next week to a lower percentage. So take advantage of that today. So we have a little lineup. So first, in the background, I do have the Print Moda fabric printer. So, and I do let everybody know machines are excluded from percent back, but all the other products aren't with the accessories. So definitely shop with us. You get 10% put back into your account that you could use for later purchases, or even this one. So definitely shopping with us. You get a good credit back here. So I think Gloria always says this is like the only place where nice guys finish first. So definitely take advantage of that. So I do have that fabric printer in the back. And then I also have the printable cotton roll, which, once again, if you do have one of the Print Modas, definitely stock up on some extra fabric. And you know, we didn't show them, Kate, that we wanted to. You could print your own fabrics.
Yeah.
We're going to save that for the next one, I think. So that is a feature. You can design and print your own fabrics on the Print Moda. All right. So up next, what do we got here? Yes. The Riley Blake designs. So you guys saw how I designed that custom stitch in my custom stitch to kind of go with the Americana stars. So up here I have, first is the quilt, and look how pretty that is. And it is, there's 3 different ones, right? So there's the wall quilt, which is 29 3/4 by 29 3/4. There's a lap quilt, which is 39.5 by 39.5, and then there's a throw quilt that's 49.25 by 49.25. So really pretty, and you could also use those designs on other things. Tommy and I used a similar star back at the spring event for our jean jackets that we did with the rhinestones, the skin and cut. So it was super cool, and we just kind of replicated that star and we made it a stitch. So you could do some really cool things with it. And that's what I really like about that My Custom Stitch feature. I saw somebody design little bunny rabbits, a little dog. Maybe I'll show you guys how to do the dog, the next one.
Ooh, yeah.
That'd be super cute. So, and don't forget, it is 10% back on these. So, and then also up here, I have the pillow set. So I think there's a pillow, there's 2 pillows, a table runner, and a wreath, and also a door banner. So super cute. It's all done in a 5x7 hoop, if I'm reading that correctly. Yeah, 5x7 stitchable area. Oh my gosh, would you look at that? So you could do that all on a 5x7 hoop from what I'm getting off of that. So that works perfect on 3550, the 3700D. So if you're kind of new to embroidery, I always say those are the best ones. They have the slide-on hoops. It's a great machine. So, and you could do all of that on that. So, and then up next, what do I got here?
Tommy's.
Oh my gosh,
okay.
We haven't showed it yet. So I did talk about that in the beginning. Tommy's next project. He outdoes himself every single time with his Embroidery Elegance box. So this is the first half of it. He's still stitching out the second half, but am I allowed to tell him what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be a casserole dish holder, and so you can kind of see the handle here, but look at all the detail in here. Land of the Free, everything. Oh my gosh, all the background stitching with the popsicles. Look how cute that is. Oh my gosh, Kathy hasn't seen this one yet, has she?
I don't think so.
So I think we're the first people to show everybody. So
Yeah.
Tommy just outdoes himself. Just look at all the detail. So Tommy,
he was
he's
showing
amazing.
us the rest of the designs that he has. So all he has to do is really change them a little bit, stitch them out. It's very promising. It looks so cool.
Tommy does a great job. So he's our in-house digitizer, and I always say I don't know how you do it. So it's just amazing. But yeah, so this is which month's box again?
This is for August.
August. So if you just wanted to get August month's box separate, and soon we'll have the photo in there once he gets the project completed. His last one, oh my gosh, can we show that real quick? I have it hanging up on the wall over there. So speaking about wall hangers, door hangers, Tommy's last one, which was so cool. It was, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name right now. It's been a long
Magic
week.
in the Air.
Magic in the Air. Oh my gosh, I couldn't think of it. Tommy's last one. Look how great this is. And this was all done in 8x12, I think?
Yes.
Yeah, 8x12 hoop. So this is so beautiful. And there's little holes in here, little eyelets to put fairy lights in so it twinkles in the dark.
Amazing.
So he just outdoes himself every single time.
He does.
I can't give him enough credit. So, all right.
All right.
Up next.
We have some of the fabrics that we used.
So I have the two fabrics I used today. And these fabrics are from Michael Miller and I think Gloria. Isn't that Gloria's favorite designer, Michael Miller?
Yes.
Is it? So she loves her metallics and I love them too. So here's the two that we used for our wall hangings for Kathy and her hubby and my sister and hers. So up right now is, I think I have the pink one, right?
The white.
Oh, the white one. So, and that's a nice, really gold, glittery metallic. I think it's so beautiful. And then up here, I have the pink one. So yeah, really, really pretty. Love it. Absolutely love it. Love these fabrics. So there's nothing wrong with metallics. They're so pretty. And even stitching out the My Custom Stitch in a metallic thread, I think that's the first time I ever did a decorative stitch in metallic thread like that, just sewing wise. And it just turned out so pretty. Imagine doing this for like the border of like a table runner.
Oh, absolutely. And it would just add such an elegant touch to any project.
And I just used a regular end foot and I just kind of spaced them apart with that. But there's other feet that you could use for spacing. On the Luminaire, you have the guideline that you could use. So, and the Luminaire also has the My Custom Stitch feature. So maybe I'll show them that in a little bit. But up next here is I have our metallic threads. So I have a couple different ones. Up here is MG1, which is a gold, and then I also have MS2, and then the one that I stitched with is MG4. So I think this is the new champagne gold, right, Kate?
Yes.
So MG4 is really pretty. I like this one, I think, the best out of all of them. So that's really, really pretty. So, alrighty.
So we also have
oh my gosh, we forgot. Breaking news on that. We almost forgot to tell them about the bobbins. I was almost going to forget. I should have told everybody that in the beginning. Take today to stock up on bobbins. So Gloria got a notification this morning that Filtech doesn't have bobbins right now. And they don't know when they're going to get them back in stock. So they have no pre-wounds, which like, I'm over here like, whoa, that's an issue on its own. So right now, we don't know when we're going to get more in. It could be like a month or so. So we only have the stock that we have now. So I would take advantage and stock up on pre-wounds because we use them so much. So if you're running low in the bubble, I think I have, how many is in that? 144. So do I have the pack here? I would definitely stock up on these. I think I have some of the small packs left of the 6-pack. So I would stock up with the big box because Gloria could not find them anywhere. She couldn't get them. So yeah, I would definitely stock up on 144. And it is still 10% back on that as well. So I would just...
The smaller pack in the bubble.
Oh, we have the smaller pack in the bubble too. I think there's, what, 8 in there? or 6? 8. Yeah, so there's 8 in there. I would just stock up on bobbins because Gloria getting that notification, that isn't something we'd lie about. She said they don't know when they're going to get it back. They're estimating a month until they get more in, and I'm just like, that's insane. Like, how are we running out of bobbins, people? Like, this is like essential. Like, this is an essential need for us. So, all right, and then also I have Shape Flex. So I think I have a bolt and a pack in the lineup here. I will say we use a lot of Shape Flex for a lot of our projects. Kathy and Mary Lou use it all the time. We use it every time in IQ Designer just about. And I use it a lot for clothes as well when you're stabilizing something to make it a little bit thicker to help it keep its shape. So I honestly recommend getting the bolt. The bolt is nice. This is 20 yards here, right? Or I'm sorry, this is...
Yeah, 20 by 10.
20 by 10, yeah. So I would get this. This would last you a lot longer. But if you're only going to do a project or two, you could get the little pack. This is 1 yard here. So, but I will say I probably used just about a full yard in this project with stabilizing the fabric, the photo, between the two of these here. So, doesn't hurt to stock up and get the bolt, I would say. And then I also have the Steam-A-Seam here, which I couldn't find before. I forgot that I had it over in the bin here. But Steam-A-Seam to close the back of these. So it's just a double-sided ironing tape, and then you press it, and then it permanently would seal that. A lot better than hand stitching it, in my opinion. I don't really like to do a lot of hand stitching anymore all the time unless I have to. So, but yeah, I have that in a bubble. And then I also have the Kimberbell project batting that we use. So that's what we used on the inside of this. Because it is a heart, it's a little bit harder to turn. If you're going to make this a hot pad, I would still just use the Kimberbell project batting. I've used it in other hot pads before, but you could use Insole Bright, which I think I have in there. Maybe we'll show next. But the project batting works great, especially if you are making this a wall hanging. So this is the Kimberbell one here. We like this a lot. Kathy and Mary Lou use this every Wednesday just about. So, and then I think up lastly, I have our 20 by 25 yards of no-show. This is a very thin, lightweight cutaway. Stock up on this. It is 10% back today. We use this with every single project just about. So, but yeah, I think that's really all that we have for you guys today. So, Kate, if you want to come in here. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Give a round of applause to Kate. I mean, she did this project. She designed it all by herself in IQ. And for her first time, I think you did a really good job. So,
yeah. And I'll try and get those instructions corrected and sent out sometime over the weekend if I get a chance. But, yeah.
I was missing the bow there. I like the bow at the bottom. The bow adds a nice little bit of flair that it needs. So, alrighty. Well, guys, have a great weekend. If you're local, maybe you'll see me in on Saturday. So I hope that the weather is great by everybody. So yeah, alrighty. Thank you so much for joining us.